Welcome to Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings, with me, Gretta Chamberlain, and the Realm of Beings. Shifting Impressions, which is one of the vehicles that supports the transmission of the Realm of Beings, is here to assist you in delving into your being by providing numerous topics and discussions for you to intake as you deepen your connection with your inner world. Shifting Impressions is here to assist you in strengthening yourself as you excavate to understand your true nature. Join us today and learn to shift your mindset, shift your thoughts, and shift your focus to recreate your life and produce a new you. Shifting Impressions starts now.
Good morning and welcome to Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings. I'm Carol and I'm here with my co-hosts Gretta, Kathleen, and of course, the Realm of Beings. Our next expo will be in Los Angeles at the Airport Hilton Hotel from February 7th to February 9th. We encourage you to get your tickets online at www.consciouslifeexpo.com. Gretta will be there giving free psychic readings, a lecture, and we will be broadcasting live, and we will have a special guest with us. We will again be interviewing Alan Steinfeld. Of course, you can always experience Shifting Impressions and the latest news, including upcoming expos, on our website, www.therealmofbeings.com, Shifting Impressions Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, Transformation Network, and any of your other favorite streaming platforms. We at Shifting Impressions are very happy to be here on Transformation Network every Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time and 8 a.m. Pacific Time. Listeners and viewers, if you're new to the podcast, thank you for joining us and being part of this experience. These conversations will help you to look at your life and your creation of reality, to see what you're creating, how it shows up, and how to help you gain perspective so you can learn how to shift what you are creating in order to create what you want. So welcome everyone, and to new listeners and viewers. Each week, Gretta shares with us a quote given to her from the Realm of Beings, which first we discuss with each other, and later on in the show, we will actually be joined by the Realm of Beings, and they will discuss the quote even further. This week, our quote is, "Coping with goodness. This life is an interesting phenomenon in which everything works for your good. However, sometimes you do not recognize this to be true because your challenges can feel overwhelming." So I think this works in a number of ways. In addition to how you're viewing your life, I think how others view your life can also seem to have an effect on us. And I think that just the whole, I mean, everybody knows I'm a little science geek, and everyone's always talking about how this planet is so conducive to life, how it is the perfect temperature, it's the right distance from the sun, it's in the Goldilocks zone. And it's like, oh, everything conspired to become that we have life here. But if we remember we create our own reality, we created to be here, we created the conditions for this planet to be perfect for the life that we have. And I think that on a larger scale, that's how I view it. But then we need to also remember to view it on a day-to-day scale, that what we're creating is affecting us. And why do we keep creating challenges? So let's try, myself included, let's try to stop creating those challenges. I'm going to go to Kathleen because I know Gretta always says, go to Kathleen first.
I was just absorbing what you're saying, and I had a thought, but it kind of filtered away. But it was something you just said that I'm just trying to recall, and it's not. and it's just not coming to me. But it just seems as though, oh, I know what it is. When you said, why do we keep creating challenges? And to me, I feel that without challenges, we cannot grow. We just can't grow as a species. And whether we always appreciate the challenges that we create for ourselves, uh, we create them nonetheless. And you're right. Sometimes what we create, other people are supporting us. So therefore, it's if you think that they are the ones maybe doing something to you and they're not, they're just supporting you in creating what you are creating. And so, when it comes to challenges, I can't say challenges are bad. I don't want to go down that path. I want to say the challenges are challenges because they're part of the lessons that we chose to learn. And how we choose to learn them is how we are
Right.
interpreting, right, Carol and Greta, how we are
Exactly.
interpreting whether or not it is a challenge. Because you can climb every mountain. Some people like doing that. Kathy's not doing that, but some people enjoy
Neither is
challenges.
Carol.
Okay, just like I'm not
Carol's
walking.
not walking into other rooms right now. Let's put it that way.
There you go. There you
Carol
go.
has some challenge right now, so.
There you go. So go ahead, Greta.
Oh, wow. You know, when I think about this quote that they gave us for today, it's like sometimes, well, in this human experience, we separate things by this thing is bad or this person is bad. This is good. This is okay. So we put those labels on things. And I would like the audience to realize that that whole concept that we believe in, one of them is evil. And there really isn't any evil. That's part of the illusion in this reality that we're existing in at the moment. And we believe in it because we've been taught to believe in it. Various religions have taught us this is evil, this is good. When you see someone maiming someone or hurting someone in some way, you think, oh, this is terrible, because we're used to judging
Mm.
what it is. And we're not thinking because most people don't realize that they create their own reality. So
Right.
therefore, when they're seeing something that's really challenging before them, they're not thinking that this person has created to experience that. They think, oh, look what that person is doing to that person. It's always a to.
Mm.
But I think our discussion is going toward the understanding that everything works for our good. I think it says that.
Yeah, it
I mean,
does.
it
It
says,
actually does.
right, this life is an interesting phenomenon in which everything works for your good, and it does, because everything you experience is a lesson. Um, this morning when I was working with somebody, I gave a lesson of a birthday party. So you've created to experience your own birthday party. Everybody comes over, congratulates you for the new age that you've acquired, bring you presents, you eat food, everybody's happy. That's a lesson as well. See, people think lessons are only quote unquote, and I'm putting it in quotes, bad things happen to you. Okay.
Or difficult, yeah, or
Right. Or
difficult.
difficult things. But see, every last thing is working for your good because there's a lesson attached to everything. The birthday
And this,
party, what is that?
oh, I was going to say,
Lessons.
isn't that our purpose to be here is to learn lessons?
Absolutely. That's what we chose. This is what the humanoid experience is. If we really want to get technical with it, we're not just learning these lessons by ourselves. The force is also experiencing it. Notice I didn't say the force is learning it. I said the force is experiencing it because it knows all. So, and it doesn't judge. It does not judge at all. The force is not going to say to individual in any species that you are a bad person. It's just not going to acknowledge that, because when it acknowledges that, if it does and it doesn't, then it's acknowledging itself, because it is us as we are it. So every doggone thing is working for our good. We have to see, that's what we want to do. And I can feel Kathy wanting to say something, so I'm getting ready to come back to her. But it's important to understand that to understand and to think, why did I create this? What is my lesson? Those are the two things. Why did I create it? What is my lesson? And then the third thing is, how do I solve it if it's a challenging situation? So I'll repeat that again. What is my lesson? How do I solve it? And what did I say before the lesson? I think I said the lesson third or whatever, but it's one, to recognize that it is a lesson, recognize it, look at it, see, why did you create the experience in the first place?
How you're going to solve it is what you said.
Right. Thank you, Ken.
If you have to solve it, if you choose to solve it, but how you want to solve it and how long it takes you to solve it is part of the challenge. Not to
Part of the lesson,
yeah, part of the lesson. Not trying to go around in a circle or anything with what we're talking about, but it just seems as though, from a humanoid perspective, just thinking about that is the challenge in itself. And it's like trying to get people there. It's like, how do you react when you know that you are creating that reality? It's basically another way of saying what you're saying, Greta, because you're supporting everyone else in learning theirs, and they're supporting you in learning yours. But sometimes it gets kind of muddled in how you can, it's like, what do you call that? Monkey bread, Carol? It's all stuck together.
I never heard of that.
The little pastries, the little things, you pull a little monkey bread things apart.
I don't think I've ever had that.
Well, in any event, it's almost like, okay, like a pretzel.
I like Greta when she says it's mashed potatoes.
Okay, well, mashed potatoes, but I mean, if you get some peas in there, you want to separate them. I mean, they could get lost in the mashed potatoes, but just pulling it apart and seeing what role you're playing in the whole thing, and to not become offended when someone is saying, hey, hey, look, we created this. How do we solve this in an amicable solution, in a good way? But you don't know how to do that if you don't know that you're creating it.
What
Not
about
only that? No, go ahead, Carol.
I was going to say, for people like us, we know that we create our own reality. That's why we're doing this podcast. Why do we face so many challenges, even though we know that we're creating it? Most of the time, at least I can figure out why I'm creating it, but I have a very difficult time figuring out how to solve it. And I know the ultimate answer to all of that is to love myself unconditionally. And I know that's my biggest lesson, but it's still a constant struggle. So,
but see, that's why, because you think of it as a constant struggle. You just created that.
Yep.
So how do I make it
QDR that? QDR.
Right. Because see, whatever comes out of our mouths is a reflection of what is in our mind, because you have to think of it first before you speak it. So it's important to watch what you think so you can watch what you say, because as you think it, so you get it. That's the bottom line of that. So if you're thinking of anything as being a struggle, watch out. It's going to help you. It's going to help you struggle. And you don't know where it's going to reverberate to.
Isn't the unconscious is where it's really originating, though?
Well, absolutely. Because most times we don't understand. Huh?
How do we control the unconscious?
The way we've been talking about. You've got to change your thoughts.
Okay.
You've got to change your thought. Like you said, okay, it's a struggle. So then you're going to do the reverse. It's easy. I'm moving with ease. I'm moving with ease through this situation. It's not that I'm going to struggle through this situation. I'm moving through ease with this situation that I'm in, you know. And see, when you move with ease, you just calm yourself down. Don't go into panic. Calm yourself down. Because when you calm yourself down, then you can solve it faster. Because calming it down is moving you away from the emotional trauma or drama of the situation.
And creating more reverberations.
Right, right. Kathy, can you explain reverberations again for our audience? Because we might have a new person.
A reverberation is like when we speak about realities, you have realities and then you have reverberated reality. So if you have anger, if that's an emotion, to me, I see it as though it just escalates and it just moves further and further out and affects more and more people and has more and more emotions come into play there. And I see it for me personally in a physical way is when you are skipping stones and the stone hits the water and then the ripples keep going. So you can toss that anger in there, and all of a sudden, that anger turns into hate the further out it goes. Just genocide, everything. It just keeps growing if it's a low vibrational energy. You can do the same thing. You can reverberate a high vibrational thought of self-love, like Carol was talking about, practicing loving ourselves unconditionally. And sometimes I have to remind myself, gee, did I say something that I should not have said? If I said that, I've got to change it. So I have to change my thought. And, and it's okay if someone reminds you that, hey, or they say, hey, you know what? Let's reevaluate this. And it's like, I've created for that conversation to happen because it needed to be said because I'm learning my lesson also. I'm learning my lesson to how to, improve upon my own understanding of how I create what happens to me and anything that I create, how it reverberates and affects other people, whether I'm aware of it or not, But to me, sometimes recognizing why I'm creating something, you have to learn to go deeper and deeper because it's always still support, create, support.
Right, right.
Sometimes too, I explain it like the Mississippi River, and then the Mississippi River has tributaries to it that extend off of it. And that reverberation happens, like you said, Kathy, with realities, and it happens with emotions as well. They all, like you gave some good examples of how an emotion can reverberate. And what happens, a good example of it is looping. And looping means that you just keep doing the same thing over and over again. You keep marrying the same type of person. Then you get in that relationship and then you divorce them and say, oh man. And then you have to look back and you said, look what I created. There's a certain type of person that I'm attracted to.
Yep.
That I keep getting involved with. It's a different person. See, this is the interesting part. It can be the same people, but you can get a different person. Because see, some people think, okay, if I leave this person and I go to another person, then it's okay. I'm finished. What they don't realize is that when you move from that one person and you move to another person, you're carrying the lesson with you. So therefore, you must experience it with the next person. You could go to 10 different people. If you haven't learned that lesson, doggone it, is following you. It's going with you. It's not going to let you go until you learn it.
Even into the transitional portal also, correct?
Mhm.
Absolutely. For those
Darn,
of you who
darn,
don't know
darn,
the
darn.
transitional portal, that's where you go after you've uh, terminated
Physically.
this physical body, and you have to create your new transitional portal. Um, but you take it with you. Any unlearned lessons you carry with you until you finish learning them. It's going to be with you. So it's like my daughter's father said to me once. He said, "I've got to learn these things." He said, "I'm learning my lessons right now." Right now, while I'm here, I'm learning that. And I didn't say anything. I said, "Oh, that's wonderful." you know. So this is it. This is it. And as you go through it, see it as good. Like another example of reverberation would be someone who has uh, decided to create a cancer experience.
That's what came to me.
So you got cancer. What's going to be the reverberation? I can never say this word right usually, but I'm going to try it this time. Metastasizing as it grows.
Pesticides, yeah.
Yep. So it starts off in one part of your body, and what is it going to do? It's going to say,
Right.
well, you haven't learned your lessons, so it's going to go to another part of your body. You're creating that. And then it's going to go to another part of your body. So that's a reverberation. It grows. Another reverberation in that experience would be that
Comes
you
back.
have to go through chemotherapy. That would be a reverberation.
Or it comes back and then you got to do it all over again. Because
Right.
you never let go. Because there are some people that, like, I don't mean to cut you off, that have a breast cancer experience and they decided, okay, I'm not dealing with that again. So whatever caused that on an unconscious level, I guess they've eliminated it. And then there are others that keep having recurrences of it until, because they never let go of the little hurts that caused it.
Absolutely, absolutely. I have a lady that I'm facilitating for right now that had breast cancer about 20 years ago. She's still with me and turned around. Now she's got CLL. What is that? Chronic um, lymphocyte leukemia. I think that's what CLL means. So, but 20 years later, you know, it's people who wind up in prison, they're released, but yet they go back again. What is the recidivism rate? Because that means you're just doing a repeat of the lesson because you didn't learn it the first time around. So don't be afraid of it. Grab it by the horns.
And it's all good. The main part of the quote, correct me if I'm wrong, ladies, is it's all good. It's okay if you have to keep practicing uh, the lesson over and over again until you get it correct. It's okay. And if we don't judge, so if someone is suffering with alcoholism and they fall down, and it's important not to judge because they're learning their lesson, and it's all good, whether they learn it in this reality or when they hit their transitional portal and take it with them and have to learn it or go through it again in another reality, but it's just very interesting.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because it's an experience. It's an experiential evolution of the force, experiential evolution of the force. It's for your own experiential evolution. This is what we're learning. We're learning. So it's a learning experience. This whole situation is nothing but about learning. And one thing we learned that we want to learn is to love ourselves unconditionally. Because when we love ourselves unconditionally, we remove the idea of blaming somebody. We remove the idea of judging somebody.
Mm.
That's a big one, Greta. I've been very aware of that one myself because in my head, I have been thinking things about certain people that I work with, the things they're saying, and immediately, like a judgment comes to mind, and I have to stop myself and say, if I'm seeing that, then I must have it too. So stop judging and start working on yourself. And I've become very, very aware of how easy it is to find fault with others and not realize that it's just a reflection of ourselves and we should be looking internally.
Oh,
We should
yeah.
just walk around with mirrors in front of us all the time.
But you know what? Don't you kind of get tired of it though?
I
Sometimes
do.
it's like you're always thinking. I mean, you can't be a human and not if you're not thinking, there's something wrong with you. I think even a rock thinks. I don't know what a rock thinks. I guess it thinks I'm stuck here. I don't know, but it's like
I don't know.
sometimes.
Some of them can roll.
But you need maybe they create for something to kick them or pick them up and toss them in the water and let them reverberate. I don't know. I don't know. It's just sometimes you just get tired.
Well, I think that's part of what the quote is saying, that we don't recognize this truth because we let the challenges overwhelm us. And that's what we have to learn. I used to use that word so much. I used to always say, oh my God, I'm overwhelmed in regards to everything, in regards to my work, to emotions, to relationships. I was always overwhelmed. And I finally stopped using that word because I stopped experiencing that. So I guess I've learned a lesson here and there. On
Well,
that
thank
note,
God.
we're going to let Greta go get a glass of water, and when she returns, we will be with the realm. Listeners, please come back with us. Do not leave. We'll be back in just a moment to continue. And when we come back, we will be speaking with the realm themselves. Thank you again. We'll be right back. Welcome back, listeners. Thank you for sticking with us. This is Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings. We are at that portion of the show where the realm will speak to us directly about the quote that they've given us. Realm, welcome.
Good morning, good afternoon,
and good
and
evening.
good evening.
Just no good night, Irene. All right, we're going to talk about coping with goodness. And the quote that you shared with us is, "This life is an interesting phenomenon in which everything works for your good. However, sometimes you do not recognize this to be true because your challenges can feel overwhelming." Go ahead, Realm. Tell us what you want to expound on that subject.
I think the word is overwhelming because that's why people don't want to deal with it. They don't want to deal with the challenge because it's overwhelming. Or they, if it's a low vibrational challenge, let me say, that you can be, or anyone can be overwhelmed by it, which then means you can really connect to the emotional energy of it. That's why when the three of you were talking about this whole thing about seeing things as good instead of seeing things as negative or bad or evil or whatever, to see good in everything. When you can reach that point, and it's not something that you're going to just snap your fingers and you're there, you see. So it's something you have to practice. So, and how do you practice it? You practice it by looking at what you create in your life. You practice it by how am I feeling about this situation? Is it nagging me? If it's something that I want to get rid of. Because we've said in the podcast before that everything is internal. You think that things are external because that is the illusion of this reality that you are in, that everything is outside of you. When in actuality, it's the reverse. So when you create your challenges, you're creating the challenges from right inside of you, you see. And therefore, the only place you can go to solve it is inside of you. So you're always working from inside out, not outside in. It's always, I'm going to say it again, inside out. And we know it's difficult for many people to even think of that they would have the power, since humans like that word power, would have the power to create a reality. I have that power? Yes, you do. I think there was a quote that we gave, I think last week, "You are the power." That was a very important quote because most humans feel that they're powerless. They don't have the power. They have to succumb to whatever happens. And then if it's something they don't like, they say, well, the universe did that for me. Or even if it's something great, they say the universe did that. They never want to they never want to take credit. It's important to take credit. It's your life. Take credit for the great things that you create, that you consider great. You see, what you consider great may not be what another person considers great. because everyone has their own set of lessons. That's one reason why we suggest all the time to stop criticizing people for what they're doing or for what they're talking about doing, because you don't know what lessons that person is supposed to have. You weren't there at the beginning with that particular person to say, okay, this is the lesson that they're going to do. And you've got your own lessons. How can you walk around criticizing somebody else and you've got your own to deal with? You see. So it's this whole world. People in this world need to calm down and start to love unconditionally, because there are forces that you aren't aware of that are influencing behaviors here on this earth. And some of the behaviors that they're influencing is of low vibration. And you don't realize you're just walking around just as nice with your life. Some of you are being homeless, decided to do that, and that's okay. Then there are others that say, look at that person, they're lazy, they don't want to work. That's why they're homeless. Or then they might say, well, they're homeless because they're not mentally well. You're always giving somebody something, you see. But if you see that person as being lazy, that's coming from your thoughts and your emotions. And the only way that that can come from your thoughts and your emotions is that you are the one that is lazy. So we suggest that you watch what you say about others as well. That is a lesson. That is a lesson working for your good. Stay off of the idea of let me criticize you. You're not doing very well on this job. Well, whoop-de-doo. You know, what is it that you're not doing very well on the job? You see. So it's all, I'm going to say it again, it's all internal. Suggestion. Stop looking outside yourselves. Start looking inside yourselves. Some people grow up as children and then manifest the very thing that they were taught, which is that they don't love themselves. There are people that walk around and criticize themselves over and over again. You know, well, I'm not a very good learner. Oh, I don't look well in this dress. Oh, I'm too fat. I'm too skinny. I'm too tall. I'm too short. Constantly criticizing yourselves, you'll go and stand in the mirror and say, oh, I don't like myself. Do you realize that there are people in this world that cannot stand and look at themselves in a mirror because they don't like what they see? You see. So they want to, it's to degrade themselves, to make themselves small. Look at yourselves. Look in your eyes is our suggestion, and tell yourself what a wonderful person you are. Because you're always asking us, what can you do? Stand in the mirror and look at yourself and say, I'm wonderful. I'm a wonderful person. I don't care what anybody else said to you, because when they said something that was not, you think, pleasing to you, but it was a lesson because you created to hear it. Nonetheless, whatever they said, in the morning when you wake up, or when you're brushing your teeth, or before you go to bed. Look in some mirror in your house and say, I am beautiful. I am handsome. I am a wonderful person. Express your divinity and stop expressing that of low vibration. Stop it, stop it, stop it.
Realm, thank you for
Yeah.
that. Thank you for that, because I have been practicing exactly that. Sometimes you look in the mirror and you go, oh my gosh. And I catch myself and I say, you know what? I'm not going down that path. Uh Sometimes I put something on and go, ooh, I don't think I'm gonna look good in that. And I'm just catch myself and I just stop it now. I just say you're beautiful, you're wonderful, and it's amazing how it makes you feel. And when you feel a certain way, you begin to show it outwardly. But we always look at ourselves and always judge ourselves more harshly than anyone else. And I don't know where that comes from. If it came from the
Insecurity.
parent,
It could.
insecurity. Okay, well, a parent,
I
or
actually don't look in mirrors on purpose. I avoid them. So
why?
that shows, because that's how little I think of myself from what I was taught.
See, you're proving my point. That's how
Exactly.
you see yourself, but that's not how I see you or anyone else. I mean,
That's why I want to let our listeners understand that just because I'm on this show and I'm with you and Greta in the realm, we are all still learning. And this has been a very big lesson for me for a very long time. And I can honestly tell you that I deliberately avoid looking in mirrors because I don't like the way I look. And
well,
I
that's
never
your homework
have.
assignment from me. You're going to start looking in the mirror and say, I love myself. Look how
I
beautiful
am,
I am.
because
Because
also
I have
said
been
it.
deliberately practicing that. And because I never thought I had to, I never thought I would ever do that. I don't even really know how to explain it. It's, I guess, just getting older, and I've just decided I'm going to love myself regardless of what I look like. And whoever doesn't like it, they don't have to, as long as I like who I am and the energy that I put out.
That's the
Because
best advice, Kathy. That is the most wonderful thing you could say. It really
yes,
is. I'm going
I
to
am.
take you up on that
Absolutely.
offer.
Absolutely. And some you get compliments and you negate the compliment. Somebody can say, oh, I like how your hair looks. I like how the barber cut your hair. Oh, well, they made a mistake. Over here, they didn't do it right. You have to find a flaw. Stop finding flaws. When someone says, you look great in that dress, don't tell them, well, it's 5 years old and it's just something I pulled out of my closet. You could not accept being honored. You could not accept being thought of or acknowledging your greatness. So you try to even negate yourselves, you see. So we encourage everyone, including you, Carol, as well. We encourage you to move past that and to move into your glory and to move into your divinity. Recognize that inside of you. You're holding such a wonderful, amazing power
Really are.
inside of you as you are it. Even though many of you don't really accept what we say, we understand that, and that's okay. When we tell you you're the force, you go, oh, those entities, they don't know what they're talking about. But even if you say that, it doesn't change the fact that we do know what we're talking about and that you, just like us,
all of us are the force, that which creates and continues to create all of existence. So be at peace with yourselves. If somebody taught you to hate yourself, change it. Look in that mirror. Go stand. If you can't look at yourself, like Carol says, she avoids it. But we're going to focus that she will go and stand in front of it and maybe only open up one eye.
Cyclops.
Iris.
You know, but at least look or peek a little bit. Take a quick peek and say, I'm all right. And then pretty soon, the quick peek will be, your eyes will be totally wide open to accept the wonderfulness that you are.
Thank you, Ralph. I really needed to hear that. I appreciate it so much. And I'm sure there's so many of the audience out there that also needed to hear something like that. So Kathleen, Realm, thank you. That's a very powerful, powerful lesson for all of us.
Carol, see, the thing about it is, I really sincerely believe that I don't think there is any model or any other human being that doesn't look in the mirror and finds something wrong with themselves. And what the realm is saying, stop it. And when I catch myself going down that rabbit hole, I say, you know what? We're not doing that. And I just QDR, then I just say, you're fine. I don't need anyone else to codify that. I have to do it for myself. Exactly. And I find that when I do that for myself, I actually feel happier. And people are noticing, boy, you're different. You know, you seem so happy, you're glowing. And it's really energy. And so I'm practicing that because, you know, from my childhood and everything, just growing up in America with everybody's little standard of beauty, you know, like what's aesthetically pleasing, and no one can live up to the standards. I mean, you know, who said that you're supposed to look a certain way, be a certain way? Well, we socialize ourselves to do that.
We come from that generation who the greatest model was Twiggy. Remember that?
I'm never going to be a Twiggy. I don't ever want to be a Twiggy. I'm more of a Gina Lola Brigida or Alina Horn. Call me Horn, okay? That's what I'm talking about.
You know that just a thought came to mind when you mentioned that about how nobody really considers themselves without flaw. There's an episode of Sex in the City, and I'm sure all the women in our audience have seen that show, where Carrie, the key person, is going to be a model in a runway show with real models. And one of the real models is Heidi Klum. And at the very beginning, before she gets out on the runway, she's looking in the mirror, and Heidi Klum says to her, "Do I look okay?" And I mean, she's like this top supermodel, and even she doubted how beautiful she is. So it's not specific to any one individual. We probably all have the insecurities, and we just need to face them the way Kathy has. Look how great she did. Look how beautiful she is. It obviously
you too, Carol. You too, Carol. But you know, it reminds me of the Star Trek episode where these miners on the planet wanted beautiful wives, and they were tricked into taking this magic pill. All of a sudden, they became these alluring women. And when they realized it was all within them, and they were able to not need the pill anymore. So, look, if you want a companion, you've seen that episode too. Yes. All of a sudden, their energy changed, and they were these alluring, beautiful wives that they were looking for. They didn't need the pill. So we don't need the negativity. We don't need the looking in the mirror and hating what we see. And how come I don't have eyebrows like that person? We don't need any of that. And it takes... I think that's a lesson a whole lot of us are learning, because it's all across the planet. You know, if you're too dark, you're too light, you're too this, you're too that. Sometimes I think we're just too human, Realm.
Absolutely. And you know what? Everything that you stated here is a lesson. And each one of you came here to experience a lesson. You probably don't remember that you volunteered. Because some of you, your challenges are such that you want to terminate. We don't want to be here anymore. I can't handle this. So let me drink my way into oblivion. Let me drug myself into oblivion because I can't stand this life anymore. But if you've gotten to that point, it may be challenging for you to change that. But the thing is, keep on working at it. Not to the point of efforting, but to the point of seeing yourself changing. See yourself change. You've been taught not to love yourself. Through parents, grandparents, children who you interacted with. They talked about you when you were growing up. You see, they said, oh, you're stupid. You can't even add 2 + 2 = 4. You see. So you go through your life thinking you can't learn. You see. But the point is that some people have created themselves to be quote unquote geniuses, and some people have created them to be at the low spectrum of autism. But those are lessons. Those are lessons that each one of those individuals are learning. And let me say this, to be autistic or to experience what you call Down syndrome, or to experience some type of mental challenge, those are some deep lessons. Can you imagine practicing Down syndrome for 70 years of your life? That's not an easy take, you see. It's not easy to say, I'm growing up in the African rainforest, or I'm placing myself on a reservation. Lessons, challenging lessons. Don't be filled with dismay. Just learn the lesson. But then that big lesson that comes out of all of that is to love and appreciate yourself so that you can begin to recognize the divinity within you.
Realm, I have a question, and I believe I asked Greta this once before. Is there any advantage of choosing more challenging lessons than there is to someone who maybe has lessons that are what we would call easier? Is there any advantage of having more challenging lessons in this experience?
We're going to tell you no, because a lesson is a lesson. See, if you think that something is harder than something else, then we suggest that you look at your life, because remember, Carol, you use that word struggle.
Yeah.
So if you see that this lesson is harder than somebody else's lesson, we're going to say no to that. because it's by the person's judgment. Is this going to be difficult or easy for me? It's that individual person who's experiencing that lesson who's going to determine it. So it's like to say that means that we highly suggest that you look through your life and see what lessons do you feel are very challenging for you and change them by way of your thoughts.
That's a good explanation, Rel. Thank you.
Everybody's the same, Carol.
True.
Some people think they're higher in spirituality than others. Some people think that I'm on the 5th dimension. I'm higher than you on the 3rd. I'm on the 12th. I'm higher than you on the 5th. You know, and it's such illusory. It's very illusory because everybody's equal.
We just did that, didn't we, recently on the podcast?
Yes.
About how everyone's the same, right?
Yep.
With that in mind, Kathy, can you tell us what we could expect on the next podcast?
Oh, no, not me. When individuals attempt to defame you or try to make you feel unworthy, remember that they are showing you who they are. It is not you.
Ah, that really piggybacks right off this week's podcast, doesn't it?
Yes.
Well, I'd like to wish everyone, I hope you have a happy, safe, wonderful Thanksgiving. Thank you, Greta, Kathleen, Realm. Thank you, Transformation Network, for hosting us. And most of all, listeners, thank you. Enjoy your week until we create each other again next week.
Once again, thanks for joining us at Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings on TransformationTalkRadio.com. As you have explored today's creation of reality experience with the realm and me, Greta, each of you is being supported by us in further developing the understanding that you are not just an individual existing in linear time and space, but a multi-dimensional force of infinite possibilities who is connected to all. So begin to create the realities you want. Join us every Friday at 8 a.m. Pacific Time and 11 a.m. Eastern Time on Shifting Impressions at TransformationTalkRadio.com. So long until we create each other again next Friday.